All right, today we got a brand new drone from DJI. What should we do for the background today? We got our close-up angle on the 50 mil. This is the Mini 3, their new entry-level drone. $469 for the aircraft, which is pretty absurd when you consider that what an action camera usually costs about 500 bucks now. This has a solid camera, great battery life, and it flies on a gimbal, stabilized. It's like, what? And also huge shout out to Look for sponsoring today's episode. Because of them, we get to use music like this in this video. Just like every other DJI, it flies really smooth. I just have it on normal mode. I was really impressed with the Mini 3 Pro because we were getting a 1/1.3 inch sensor, which is basically almost a 1-inch sensor, and we still get that sensor in here. Pretty fast lens too. It's a 24 mil equivalent. So far, everything is default settings still. I just tossed it into 4K 24 and that's about it. But man, its picture quality looking pretty good. Just going forward in sport mode, I'm getting a little over 13.5 meters a second, but what is that in miles per hour? Well, let me go ahead and go into Imperial because I'm an American. And we get to 29 miles per hour. We're at 28.9. Okay, but let me head back this way. All right, now that I got a little tailwind, ooh, 35 miles per hour. Oh yeah, we just hit 35.5. I gotta say, for the weight and size, this thing flies so good. One of the things I love about the Mini 3 is just how quiet it is. So you can fly it in public places and not everyone has to listen to your loud ass propellers like they're trying to enjoy the sunset, and it's just like another thing that's really impressive about the 3 is that you can tilt all the way up. You can just keep going and going 60 degrees up, and the faster you fly the drone, the harder it is for the camera to keep looking forward. There's a lot of drones where if you put it into sport mode, you can't even look perfectly straight. I'm in sport mode and I'm just gonna go forward and I can hold that 0 degrees no problem, and I'm almost hitting 30 miles per hour, and I can just go up while moving forward, which is something that is really cool to be able to do. 36 degrees while going forward at full speed. And then now that I stopped, I can even go further up to 60 degrees. The Mini 3 Pro was the first time I ever saw a Mavic do that. And since this has the same design, I can just be flying forward 35 miles per hour almost, and I can just go all the way up to 38 degrees. So cool. Then I could also go all the way down, of course, 90 degrees. Ooh, kind of interesting with the ocean. When you're looking at an angle, you can't really see into the water, but you look straight down and you could almost see what's under there. Another thing that's really cool is that we can go into portrait mode. The camera actually does rotate. Right now, I suck at all the Instagram reels and YouTube shorts and TikTok, but now with this, I'm gonna be a TikTok master. It is kind of fun having this vertical composition. It kind of changes the way you get your shots. Let's take a look at some camera controls real quick. So we have 4K up to 30 frames per second. So we go to 2.7K, we get up to 60 frames per second there. And full HD also tops out at 60. So no super high frame rates, no 120 frames per second. So I can go manual in my white balance here, okay. Going over to the exposure, I got my ISO and my shutter speed control over here. But I'm not seeing an option for Cine-like, so that's something that we did have on the 3 Pro. So there's normal color, which this is, and it looks great, but there's not that much flexibility with it. If you don't plan on doing any color grading, I think you're gonna be pretty satisfied with this color and the look. Another benefit of the 3 Pro was that you were getting that O3 image transmission that was giving you 1080p signal straight here to your controller. Here we're getting 720p, so a little bit less resolution and quality, but honestly, it looks pretty good to me on this screen. Plenty for me to at least see off of. Well, I could just have this hang out here and be my third camera angle. So I got the drone shot, the 12 mil and the 50 mil. Also keep in mind that there are no obstacle avoidance sensors. So if you accidentally crash, it will actually crash. So you gotta be very careful. Another feature we don't have is active track. So I can't select myself and have it follow me around. But it does have some smart features like quick shots down here. Now it looks like we could do these quick shots up to 4K, but it is limited at 30 frames per second, no 24 or higher. I just go ahead and select myself, it detected me, and I hit start, and it's gonna go ahead and do a boomerang shot for me. But remember that since we don't have those obstacle avoidance sensors, so let's say there is an obstacle in its path, then it will go straight into it. So definitely something to be cautious of. It looks like there's a few more shots to try out, so let's try them out and get shots of Dylan.
Have you ever wondered how many licks it takes to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop? Me neither. What you should be wondering is how many mainstream tracks you can license for your content. Licht has over 1 million mainstream chart music tracks to choose from, including Peter's favorite track.
Gucci gang, Gucci gang, Gucci gang, Gucci gang, Gucci gang, Gucci gang, Gucci gang.
Now, I'm a huge fan of Licht because we get to use some of the music that we've always wanted to use but never did because of copyright. For example, All J is a band that I used to go to their shows, and now I get to use their music in this video. Licensing through Licht supports the musicians as well as helping Licht grow their music library, which is awesome because they already have 1 million tracks, but imagine if we could just use all the songs that we already know and love.
With Licht, creators get access to the world's greatest artists like Cardi B, Bruno Mars, Sam Smith, and more.
It's really cool to see how fast the Licht library is growing. I mean, I just went on and saw a song that features Drake.
And if you're looking for stock music, Licht has over 100,000 stock music tracks, and you can use this on all social media platforms with unlimited usage. And by using Licht, not only can you keep your channel growing, but you can keep all the ad revenue. So with songs like this, you can level up your content without the risk of getting a copyright strike. So sign up today with our link below and get 14 days free stock music and 50% off your first mainstream chart track. So what are you waiting for? Make like an ice cream on a sundae and get Licht.
You know, honestly, it felt like a pretty bad idea trying to film the sponsorship with all these electronics on this little piece of plastic, essentially, that we're floating on. But yeah, it all went well. The drone flew good. Dylan, what'd you think?
It's all right. It's my first time actually kayaking, so.
I'm just here playing with the drones. Carrie's doing all the hard work. If we compare this Mini 3 to the Mini 3 Pro on the right, we'll notice we have a few more camera options on the right. Like it can go up to 4K 60. The Mini 3 Pro does have a tiny bit of internal storage in case you forgot your micro SD card. This does not, so you definitely want to make sure you got your micro SD card in there. The Mini 3 Pro also has D-Cinelike, an H.264 or H.265 option, and also MP4 or MOV. The files I'm getting out of the Mini 3 is an H.264 MP4. D-Log, which is even flatter than D-Cinelike. Then you'll have to step up to something like this Air 2S, where we definitely get a lot more dynamic range. The sky doesn't get blown out and more details down there in the shadows. So overall, I would say the Air 2S's camera is superior. But what is really impressive about the Minis is that it has an f1.7 lens. So the Air 2 and even the 3, it opens up to f2.8 maximum aperture. So even if we match the shutter speed and ISO, the Mini 3 is still going to be brighter. So to compensate for that stop of exposure difference, we basically have to double the ISO on the Air 2S. And what's interesting about that is the Air 2S is now much noisier than the Mini 3. So in low light, I'm actually getting really good performance out of this Mini 3, even better than the Air 2S. And funny enough, even when you compare it to the Mavic 3 Cine, it actually looks cleaner. So again, it just comes down to the lens and sensor combination. I mean, you just get so much more exposure out of an f1.7 than an f2.8. Let's go ahead and switch up the scenery a little bit. Where should we go? There's a gate. Should I just go through it? What's funny is that this cart just makes me feel so much more legitimate that I think I'm less likely to get kicked out, actually. Like, I think they're gonna be like, oh yeah, obviously he's here for work, like professional, he's allowed to be here. Totally. I can just walk anywhere with this. It's like when people put on like those orange vests and they just walk wherever they want and people don't question them. Or was it a ladder, right? People took a ladder and walked into clubs. Just, yeah, you have a ladder, you can get anywhere because you're working. Now looking at the batteries, they are the same as the Mini 3 Pro, and you can charge them by putting in the USB-C bag here, which is something I really appreciate because that means you don't have to carry around an extra charger, but having this 3-bay charger definitely makes life a lot easier. This comes with the Fly More kit, but whenever you throw a battery into the case, it lights up and shows you how much battery life you have on them. Now this will charge all 3 of your batteries one at a time by plugging into USB-C, but it also has a USB out, so if you want to charge your controller or your phone, this kind of turns into like a portable battery bank, which is a real nice touch. Now notice that it says 249 grams right here. So this is the standard battery, and this is supposed to last 38 minutes, but there is also the plus battery, which does add a little bit more weight to it. So it doesn't say 249 grams right there. And when you pair that with the Mini 3, you're supposed to get 51 minutes of battery life. That is ridiculously long. Now keep in mind that these specs are always in perfect conditions, which you never get. But still, 51 minutes, that is a ridiculously high spec. So I kind of want to test out the plus battery in here and see what kind of real world flight time we'll get out of it. All right, I'm a little bit concerned about how boring this is going to be, but let's go for it. Flying for a little over 10 minutes now, and I'm still at 77% battery. I've been flying for 22 minutes straight now, and 22 minutes is a pretty long time. I want to go home. I'm hungry. I want to get food. I'm gonna starve to death here. So I got tired of holding the stick for it, so I have this thing holding it for me. All I have to do is just kind of turn around every time I get to the other side of the lake, and I just go back and forth. Now, it's not going that fast, even though it's pushed all the way forward, because I'm in cinematic mode. So there's normal and then there's sport. We've been flying for almost 40 minutes now. God, we could have watched a TV show or done my taxes. So we got about 40 minutes of flight time before this thing started beeping at me. So let me go ahead and actually see if I can mute this. The warning is important. You should not disregard these warnings. This is definitely the longest I've flown a drone though. So I'm just gonna kind of cruise it around in a circle here until it's like, yo, seriously, let me down. It's trying to force land right now, but it still says I have 3 more minutes of flight time left. So let's just see what happens. I just throttle up to keep it up in the air. But as soon as I let go, instead of hovering, it does want to just come down. No! Okay, so it officially forced landed. So Mini 3 with the Plus battery. Longest flight I've ever done so far. Now this is DJI's budget smart controller. They're calling it the DJI RC. What's nice about it is that it is compatible with all of these drones here actually. The 3, the 3 Pro, the Air 2S, and the 3. And if we compare it to the RC Pro, this is about a quarter of the price, I think. And this does get brighter to 1,000 nits opposed to 700. But it's good enough to see even in direct sunlight like now. And I would say if you're thinking about doing an upgrade and only one upgrade, I would say this is the one to do, because when you have the screen built into the controller, that's just one less thing that you have to set up and make sure it's charged and ready to go. And this is one of the upgrades that legitimately makes the flight experience just so much better. All right, let me go ahead and just take us for one more flight here and let's read some comments. What do you think of the Fuji X-H2? I think that's right under 2K, and curious to hear your thoughts on it. And the X-H2S. You know, I've actually heard a lot of really cool things about Fujifilm. I'll try to get my hands on one. Videos on that come in eventually, probably, maybe. So I still remember the first time you started out and were mesmerized by people flying drones basically exactly the way you're flying them now. It's been fun to watch you constantly grow and learn. Thank you so much, Loki Parts. Flying drones has definitely become more of an addiction, but it's definitely one of those things that's super fun because you can constantly progress at it. Like every time I go out and fly, even now, I just feel just that much more natural with the controller. I don't really have to think about what I'm doing with my hands anymore. Great video, dude. I'm a retired Air Force plane mechanic. I'm flying the Air 2S and Mini 2, new to FPV. Yep, you convinced me to get an Avata. Plan on using it for real estate videos too. Keep the videos coming. I think you're gonna have fun with Avata because FPV, completely different animal than a Mavic. You just can't really compare the two because Mavics are great for getting those super smooth, super stabilized 3-axis gimbal shots, very cinematic, and it almost looks like a camera on a gimbal because it is a camera on a gimbal, except for it's also attached to propellers. But flying FPV feels a bit more like organic. You feel more like a bird than anything else. Big JM Stream says, dude, did you really publish a video with you sitting on the toilet? I had to rewind that back because I couldn't believe it, and now I have to forget it twice. I'm sorry to have scarred you with the side of my butt. Well, you see that much side butt wearing a Speedo, and that's appropriate in pools, but I will refrain from posting more side butt in the future. Thank you so much for watching. Links down there in the description if you are interested in picking up one of these Mini 3s or any other DJI stuff, and that is all. See you guys later. Bye.